I think that this project is, as a matter of policy, public policy, highly problematic. And it's highly problematic for a number of reasons, some of which I won't get into until we get to the Brownfield plan and the development agreement. But let's start with this. Politicians are fond of saying, well, we don't pick winners and losers. Republicans are especially fond of saying that. However, what's happened here is that the city is picking a winner that is the owner of a few parcels on Grand River. And that's only a small portion of all the parcels of land that surround this, the center of this project, which is parking lot number 1. And by choosing that developer and choosing this kind of project, especially what I call the capitulation to student housing with the Grand River building, essentially we will be taking this wonderful asset, parking lot number 1, and we'll be really turning it over to one of the few landowners that border that asset. And I know there's supposedly will be some parking left over, but I suspect that the parking requirements are understated. For example, you look at how many parking spaces are required by a certain number of bedroom units, and it's just a fraction of the number of bedroom units. But I think the effect is that other property owners that own property bordering this asset are going to be hampered in any consideration or any effort to redevelop their own properties, because the parking is going to be, there's no longer going to be a surface lot available to all. There's going to be a parking structure largely taken up by this student housing. Now, someone sort of alluded to this earlier. I spent a lot of time in small towns in Michigan, small towns in other parts of the country. I've never been in a small town, including a college town, that thought that this was the way to develop their downtown if they wanted to make it a downtown that was welcoming to people who lived in the town. And I think what we're talking about doing here is just the opposite. It's not going to make downtown more attractive, because it's not going to promote galleries, restaurants, shops. In fact, it's probably going to put out of business some shops in the downtown area that have been here for years. So I think this is a public policy mistake. Now, aesthetically, I think that's part of the mistake, because it's a monolith, it's a gargantuan project. Others have spoken to it. Your planning commission voted 4-4 not to recommend it, and the one recusal was someone who spoke against it as a citizen. So, at least from the planning commission standpoint, this does not have their imprimatur. Now, let's talk about the over 55 building. Have any of you actually seen the survey that was done that the developer claims justifies this over 55 development? Not the redacted survey where 97% of it is gone, but have anyone of you actually seen it? Has staff actually seen it? I don't think so. Tell me if I'm wrong. Then you have to ask, why is that building on top of the parking structure treated differently in the development agreement. I don't know whether it's the city, the developer, or both, but it's treated differently. And it's treated differently in that there is a penalty for not building that building. And the penalty under the development agreement is the parking revenue that building was supposed to generate. So this suggests to me that the city and or the developer have serious questions about seniors from this area wanting to live in a building on top of a parking structure downtown. So then there's the question of the subsidy. I mean, not only, and I'll get into this more when we get to the Brownfield plan, but we're not only going to allow this, we're going to facilitate it with a subsidy. Now, you may say, well, yeah, but under the terms of the development agreement, the city's going to have more revenue than they have at present. Now, that assumes certain things. It assumes certain things about the parking revenues. It assumes certain things about the developer's ability to make the payments the developer is required to make. And this is far from clear that the developer is actually the one who will stand behind that, because when you look at the ground lease, which is an attachment to the development agreement, the ground lease has some unit owner, undefined. Unit owners, well, other than saying they own the units, making the payments. And there's no obligation for the developer to guarantee those payments. It just says the developer shall cause these payments to happen. And you got to remember, the developer is just a standalone LLC. So it's not like doing business with GE or somebody. And I spent 25 years as a senior partner with Honigman Miller litigating business disputes, often involving Fortune 500 companies. And I have never seen a more complicated structure and a more complicated set of documentation than we have in this case. And as a litigator looking at it, I got to tell you that we're looking at a litigation bomb. That's what it is. And I'm not questioning anybody's good faith. I think the city attorney has done a good job drafting these documents. But when something is as complicated as this, there's only so much you can do. And I think we're buying into, assuming this goes forward, we're buying into litigation. Thank you.